I did something I don't normally do. And I read 2 books at once. And I don't normally do it because I can't keep the separate stories if I try and do that. There was a point last year where I had a physical book, a Kindle book, and an audio book all on the go at the same time. And my brain started to get overwhelmed with it all, so I didn't do it anymore. However, I had a really bad day last week and I just needed peace and quiet away from everything. So I came in here and I started reading Bury Our Bones in the Midnight Soil. But when I put my little girl to bed at night, there's an armchair in there and we sit in there and we read until she falls asleep. But because we're trying to get to sleep, it's dark in there, so I have to read my Kindle. So I picked up this, Dungeon Crawler Carl. I have seen this damn book everywhere. On TikTok, on Instagram, everywhere. And I still have a month of Kindle Unlimited left from my new Kindle. And I thought, well, I can read this when I'm putting little one to bed, and I can read it in the bath because I don't want to read a physical book in the bath. I'll probably drop it. So this was so far at the other end of the spectrum to V.E. Schwab that it worked perfectly. Now, I was surprised. This is a little bit like the Red Rising situation for me. I didn't realize that Red Rising was such a popular thing until 2023, I think. And it was published nearly a decade before. And I was surprised it had taken this long for it to catch on. This is kind of the same thing. I've only started seeing this book pop up everywhere in the last 3 or 4 months. I think it's had cover refreshes and it might have been picked up by a different publisher. I don't know. So I thought I'd give it a go. I've never read a LitRPG in my life. Didn't really understand what one was until I read this book. This book is hilarious, engaging. I've got to be careful what I say because I don't want to piss people off. But you can tell it was written by a man. And what I mean by that, and again, I have to be careful what I say because everybody moans about everything these days. The humor is in the toilet. It's the definition of toilet humor is in this book. You have all of the female characters are naked. Let's not muck about. They're dead naked. They are some sort of elite creature, but they're naked. People have been unalive during the course of the game, and they're naked because all their clothes have been looted. You know, it's just got that vibe of how many naked women can we fit in this book and still keep it funny. But it is a good book. It's very funny and it's very entertaining. It follows Carl and his ex-girlfriend's cat, Princess Donut. She jumps out of his several story, I can't remember how many stories he lives in this building, but she jumps out the window into a tree. He goes outside to fetch her in nothing but his robe and his boxer shorts. And then somehow every roofed structure in the world compacts like that, with everybody still inside. Houses, apartment buildings, factories, warehouses, shopping centres, cars, anywhere that's got a roof, flat. And anybody who was outside is urged to go through these doorways that open up around the world. And they go into the crawler dungeon. Now, the survivors are labelled as crawlers. And they are put through a game of 18 levels, each level obviously getting more difficult. And if anyone survives the 18th level, they can claim sovereignty over the planet. Otherwise, done. Mine for all its resources, move on to the next one. But this game is watched simultaneously around the universe by several different species and trillions upon trillions of people. There's also the revelation that Earth is not the only human-seeded planet. And yeah, it's a lot, I will say. If you're not used to this kind of thing, it's a lot. Every time a new skill was unlocked or something like that, you would have like a 1 to 2 page description of everything, all the attributes, all the XP variations, all of the new skills unlocked. It got a bit much after a while. As someone who doesn't play those level of games, like skill building games and all of this, sometimes I sort of zoned out a little bit. But what really sort of took the shine off it for me, and it wasn't a lot, but this was a 450-ish page book. The game is 18 levels, and the first book only deals with the first 2. And it's a 7-book series. And my worry is, if it follows the same pattern for every book, it's going to become tiresome very quickly for me. Like 2 levels a book is stretching it, I think. I've started the second book. It's shorter than the first by about 100 pages. So I'm hoping it picks up the pace. It throws different things in. So far, it is a bit different. But yeah, I think it was a little bit stretched out. And it's going to be difficult to keep it fresh through the series unless things start to change. But of course I will find out because I'm going to read them, or at least until I get bored. So I hovered and hovered around what rating to give this book. I gave it a 5 to begin with, and then I started to realize the parts that I'd been disappointed in, so I lowered it to a 4. It's no lower than a 4. But I do sort of hold out slight reservations as to whether I can keep interest in this as it goes on. But we'll see. If you've read them all, don't tell me. I just want to read it for myself. But yeah, I've got the wife reading it now, and she's already over a quarter of the way through, and she only started it at like 9 o'clock last night. So she's enjoying it. But yeah, I can see why it's got hype. It may be slightly overhyped, but we'll see. We'll see as it goes on. And like I say, it hasn't put me off reading the rest yet, so I'll get back to you.